Stellar Blade, a game that certainly isn't afraid to wear its heart on its sleeve, and a title that almost does everything right. Today I will be discussing what I believe to be one of the best video games to release in the last 5 years. Now, I played this game about a year ago when it exclusively released on PlayStation 5, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, this game just does so many things perfectly, and it just hits so many bars to the point where I can confidently give it praise for doing so. If you pay attention to any news in gaming, you might have heard that Stellar Blade has outperformed all other PlayStation titles to be released on Steam, and personally, when I found this out, I felt a bit giddy inside because this game almost felt like it didn't exist after its initial launch, and that genuinely felt baffling to me. I mean, in the following year after its release, I may have heard its name thrown around 1 to 2 times. But before I go off track rambling about how underrated it is, let me just tell you why I love Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade's combat is absolutely stellar in almost every aspect. This game has by far one of the most fluid and impactful combat experiences I have ever had the pleasure of playing. Every sword swing feels incredibly responsive, and it's all accompanied by great sound design and, dare I say, the best effects I have ever seen in a video game. The parries have that perfect ring followed by lightning splattering across your screen, the perfect dodges bring you into slow-mo before slinging you back at enemies with a counter, and everything just feels so damn snappy. And I cannot leave out the blink system. This might be one of the coolest moves I've ever seen in any video game. Like, look at this shit. Look at it. I just teleported behind you and took your ass. Pause. But like, bro, this game is just genuinely so satisfying to play, and in the combat department, I think it is actually just perfect. The open world is a bit more of a mixed bag, but overall something I find to be pretty well done. Now, this game has a 50-50 balance where your main missions are in linear sections of the game, and all side mission exploration takes place in 2 open world locations. As for these open world locations, you have the Wasteland and the Great Desert. These are both apocalyptic desert areas full of enemies, puzzles, and something that I personally love, collectibles. You cannot have an open world that doesn't reward the player for exploration, and this game does that perfectly. The open world is full of items such as documents that give you a deeper look into the story, and something that I and many other players absolutely adore, which is alternate outfits. I mean, growing up and unlocking alternate outfits in Resident Evil games was always so rewarding, and this game absolutely banks on that. There's over 40 outfits in the game hidden behind missions and little puzzles scattered around the world, and collecting them all scratches that completionist itch I have, and prevents the game from feeling stale. Aside from the outfits and documents, Stellar Blade has an additional collectible which honestly I find adorable, and that's the cans. The cans can sometimes be found out in the open, but are also hidden behind little puzzles and interactions you stumble across while exploring. But more than just any other useless item you can pick up and move along with, these cans are actually tied to little rewards and ultimately another outfit. And you know why Eve collects these cans? She just finds them fascinating. That's all. She just likes the way the little liquid capsules look. And it's honestly pretty wholesome. Oh, and did I mention there's fishing? You can literally go fishing in this game and catch a whale shark. I mean, honestly, I think Stellar Blade did an amazing job in terms of keeping the open world full of things to do and keep you busy in a fun and meaningful way. But, and this is a big but, grow up, I think the variation between the 2 open worlds could have been done better. I don't mind a sandy desert area, but both open world locations happen to be exactly that. The visual repetition of everything being yellow is something that can be extremely overbearing to players and get tiresome fast. I mean, yes, both locations are full of content and things to do, and the locations do fall in line with the game's story and setting, but I do find this to be one of the biggest flaws Stellar Blade has. A lot of people are just not going to find desolate deserts particularly attractive to look at in prolonged gameplay. I mean, in my first playthrough, I remember being a bit disappointed when I finally unlocked the new open world location and boom, it was just another desert. I just find it to be an odd design choice considering how nice and appealing everything else design-wise is, but unfortunately, I do think this will be off-putting for some people. Fortunately, outside of the open world locations, there are more linear story segments. Now, all the locations that take place in the required areas of the game have much more environmental variety and serve as a nice break from the open world deserts. But this is the gameplay section of the video, so I'll save all my design-based opinions for that section. Back on gameplay, Stellar Blade does these segments very well. It's nothing groundbreaking or immensely innovative, but it's all served up in a strong package. These segments have side paths for those who want to explore, good pacing, and a surprising amount of variety. The majority of the game focuses on hack and slash, Souls-like combat, but it also makes sure to give the player breaks with segments that lean heavier into platforming and puzzles. And beyond that, there's straight up parts of the game that feel reminiscent of Dead Space, which take on a much creepier tone. The devs definitely did a great job at preventing things from feeling repetitive or stale at the game's core, and if you enjoy the gameplay loop of going through dungeons and fighting a boss at the finish line, Stellar Blade does this very well. Nowadays, with games being so expensive amongst everything else, we all want to know if the games you're buying have a strong replay value, and with Stellar Blade, you're in luck. The combat in this game alone is enough to bring you back over and over again, and coming from me, I very rarely play a game more than once, and I'm on my 4th playthrough. If you're the kind of person that likes to 100% games or fill out your in-game collection, there's tons of that to be found, and like all good action games should have, there is a New Game Plus with unique rewards and so on. This is a game with 3 different endings as well, with secret requirements and an entire hidden location to discover. And on to something that more games need to start including, Stellar Blade also has a boss rush. The boss rush alone is something that provides so much replayability in a game like this, and I'm honestly surprised we don't see it more. Now, I gotta mention this, and yes, this is kind of a small thing, but I really do think it does matter, especially in terms of replayability. The segments where you have to move all these big boxes and trash carts for little puzzles around the world are an absolute pain to go through. It's so slow and sluggish, and in subsequent playthroughs, it just gets more annoying and frustrating to deal with. I mean, literally, just make it so you can move them twice as fast or replace them with something else entirely. I'm speaking to you, Shift Up. Now, onto the story of Stellar Blade. It just feels very average. I mean, overall, the story is fine. It's not littered with poor dialogue, and it's not necessarily bad, but it's just shallow. And the world is definitely interesting with the mystery of the colony and whatnot, yet it just wasn't expanded on enough to create a standout story. It felt like there was just a lot of missed opportunity to dive deeper into the lore of this universe, but it just wasn't touched on enough, and this does tend to be the general consensus of the players. If you're looking for a story amazing and intricate like with Final Fantasy, you will not find that here. And I gotta admit, it would have been nice to have something deeper and more thought out, but I just don't think it was meant to be the focus of this game. Or at least if it was, it falls short in comparison to everything else. Overall, despite its lack of depth, I did find it to be generally enjoyable and very easy to follow. With the way this game plays out, I feel like the story was meant to take the backseat to the gameplay, and that's okay. I just think me and many others would have liked to have something deeper to swim in. Overall, Stellar Blade's selling point is not the story, it's definitely the experience. So this section is particularly important to me because as an artist, art design is one of those things that can make or break a game and always the first thing to make me pick up a new title. Flat out, I have to say I love the art direction in Stellar Blade. There are so many things done right, from the character design all the way from Eve and her outfits to all the enemy types and the bosses. Starting with Eve, the elephant in the room and protagonist of the game, we have our badass babe android and star of the show. There are over 40 outfits in the game for her, and I honestly love most of them. She has all these sci-fi nano suits that look great in game, and yes, some are definitely over the top, but they ultimately look really good and well designed, providing something for everyone. Unfortunately, these outfits are also the main reason a good amount of people are brushing off the game's integrity and assuming the worst in it, which I can kinda understand. I know you have seen those god-awful horny mobile game ads littering every other YouTube video, but I assure you this game is nothing like those. This game doesn't entirely bank on having a hot protagonist, it benefits from it, and personally, I'm not one to shun games for having hot characters. I mean, hell, have you played Resident Evil? Anyways, aside from Eve, the enemies in this game look disgusting, and I love that. All of the monsters, which go by Naytibas, are these mutated atrocities, and as someone who loves horror, this hits a special bar for me. And don't get me wrong, the robotic enemies look and sound great too, but at some point they morph them together with the Naytibas to create other dope enemies, and honestly one of the coolest boss designs I've ever seen. And speaking of boss design, Stellar Blade did an amazing job and provides a really nice bit of variety to keep them feeling fresh. I mean, you have bosses that look like zombified fallen angels, bosses that look like a pile of robots made into a freakish nightmare, and at some point you even get to fight a mech. I mean, the character design in this game does so many things I love, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't do them right. And not to mention, the best part of it all is that everything surrounding the characters just amplifies the art even more. Not only do the characters look great, but the animations are extremely fluid and well polished, from the enemy takedowns to the healing animations. Like when Eve uses Blink and her sword glares before she teleports behind the enemy, or when she uses Tempest and Eve dashes around the screen, shattering reality. It just all looks so cool and flashy, especially when done in some of these set pieces. I mean, there's points in the game where I just had to stop and appreciate the environments I was fighting in because they look so pretty, and that is always a plus in my book. Overall, Stellar Blade's art direction is awesome, and as far as complaints go, I have to say that having both open world locations as deserts really is the game's biggest sin. I'm not saying that the deserts themselves are badly designed, I'm just saying that it's this game's weakest point in visual variety. Oh, and also, the music is peak. I really don't have too much to say about it. I am happy to say that Stellar Blade has great optimization. The game runs incredibly smooth and I haven't encountered a single bug in any of my playthroughs. No crashing, no weird frame dips, and no bugs in my time playing. It ran great both on my PlayStation 5 and my PC and has overall been a very smooth experience. Really not too much to say here, but I do have to mention it's really refreshing to play a game that isn't half-baked on release. Alright, so now it's time to run up the score sheet and give Stellar Blade my final score. In terms of gameplay, Stellar Blade is almost perfect. The combat is amazing in just about every way, you get a solid skill tree to upgrade as you progress throughout the game, and it's overall well polished with a strong execution. The collectibles are satisfying to collect and provide utility in one way or the other. The movement and platforming are amongst the least frustrating I've seen in all my time playing games, but unfortunately, the numerous super sluggish crate puzzles bother me just enough to bring it down a bit. I'll give gameplay a 9.5. Onto the story, like I said, it's fine. It's nothing particularly memorable or intricate, but I wouldn't say it's bad. It's overall easy to follow, and despite its lack of depth, I think it has a lot of potential for future releases if they choose to expand on the world. While I would have preferred something deeper, I still find it fine. I'll give it a 7. As for the stability and a short section to cover, Stellar Blade is very stable and properly optimized. Like I said, no bugs or random frame dips. This game is certainly not half-baked and from my experience has no problems. I'd honestly give it a 10, but since I'm uncertain of others' experiences, I'll have to give it a 9.5. Replayability wise, I think this game has a lot to offer. There's so much to do, tons of fun combat to enjoy and bring you back, and with things like New Game Plus and a boss rush, I think that alone offers tons of replayability. Unfortunately, the dreaded crate puzzles negatively impact this section too much to be ignored, so I'll have to give this a 9. As for the graphics, I think Stellar Blade is gorgeous and one of the best looking games I've played. Though I will say for the PC release, I wish some of the environmental textures offered a higher resolution, but hey, you can't win them all. The effects look great, the character models look great, and I'd say that the odd artifacts are very minimal and hard to notice when present. I'll give this section a 9 as well. As for the art design, it's something I could talk about for hours. I love it. Simple as that. Eve, the enemies, the monsters, the set pieces, it's all super cool to look at and inspiring to an artist like myself, and that's one of the most important aspects I pay attention to in games. I love the art direction of Stellar Blade, and if it didn't have those 2 damn desert locations, I'd honestly give it a 10, but I'll have to knock it down just a bit and give it a 9.5. With all said and done, I have decided to give Stellar Blade a 9. Alright guys, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. This review is a bit different from my others because I normally go a bit deeper into the story, but I imagine it's a lot of people's first time hearing about this game, so I didn't want to spoil it in case you guys are trying to decide whether or not you wanted to pick up this title. Overall, I really enjoyed Stellar Blade and I wanted to share my thoughts with anyone that might be interested because I really do recommend playing this game. If you want to check out my reviews on any other titles, they're all here on the channel, and if you didn't know, I do make art like this illustration I actually made for Stellar Blade, so if you want to check out my other art pieces and show some love, the links are in the description. But until next time, thank you for watching.